Today we'll read about the remaining part of the chapter, the Central Islamic Land. So far we have discussed about the society, what kind of society used to be there in the area of Arabian Peninsula, how Prophet Muhammad established a new religion that was Islam, and how with the help of Islam and the principles set up by him, he set up a team of followers and that council of followers known as Ummah, and how he was able to make Islam a political power and how he set up an empire, and that empire was the Central Islamic Land. So we will read the next part of this chapter, the Caliphate expansion, civil wars and sect formation. After the death of Prophet Muhammad in 632, when did he die? 632. No one remained there to succeed him as a prophet. He nominated not even a single person that who will replace him after his death. So his authority was transferred to the council which was set up by him and which was a council of the followers that was known as Ummah, with no established rule of succession. Means there was no rule of succession through which a next prophet could be elected. Then began the process of innovation which led to the formation of the institution of caliphate. So they invented a new institution, and that was the institution of caliphate, in which the leader of the community, that is called Amir al-Mumin, this is a Arabic term which is used for the chief of a community, became the deputy khalifa of the prophet. Means the khalifa was prophet, so thereafter nobody else could take place of the prophet Muhammad. So next person who became the chief of that Islamic community, that was called as the deputy khalifa, and his name was given khalifa. And in this way a new system was started that was called caliphate institution. There were two main objectives of the caliphate. Means whenever we do something like that, so there may be some objectives. So there were mainly two objectives. First was to retain the control over the tribe, otherwise the tribe would have become disintegrated. And secondly, constituting Ummah and to raise the resources so that they can keep their follower intact, otherwise they would have been disintegrated. So to keep that community intact, they invented new ways and means through which the followers could be united and they could protect their religion, because a religion could be protected only when the followers will be protected. Next is we will read about the four caliphs who took place after Prophet Muhammad. So we will read the four caliphs one after another. First of all, the friend and the father-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, and his name was Abu Bakr. So Abu Bakr was chosen to be the first caliph after Prophet Muhammad, and he was nominated as the successor of Prophet Muhammad, and he was also a close relative as well as friend of Prophet Muhammad. Then he faced many oppositions throughout the Islamic world, and he waged many battles, and he crushed all those rebellions who were against him, and he became a successful Khalifa. The second Caliph was Umar, and he shaped the Umar's policy of expansion, and he further expanded the Islamic empire to new areas. The third Caliph was Uthman, and Uthman packed his administration with his own men so that he can keep his empire intact, and this led to the opposition in Iraq as well as in Egypt. But after successive battle, he was able to repress all those rebellions, all those oppositions. The fourth caliph, that was Ali. Ali was also one of the relative of Prophet Muhammad, and it is believed that the daughter of Prophet Muhammad, that was Fatima, she got married with Ali, and it was his time that Muslim broke into the two sections, that was the Shias and Sunnis. Though Ali belongs to Prophet Muhammad, but still there was a lot of opposition by the follower of Uthman, and they were against Ali. They wanted to displace him, and later on Ali was assassinated. So later on the society of Muslim people divided into two sections, that was the Shias as well as the Sunnis. The supporter of Ali were called as the Shias, and the opponent of Ali was called the Sunnis. And this battle is still going on. There is different sections in the Muslim society. Mainly there are two sections, that is the Shias and Sunni, and there is continuous confrontation among these two sections all over the world, and it can be seen today itself. Now we will read about the administrative changes which were brought by the caliphate in the areas which were conquered by them, because with the due course of time they conquered many areas in Arabian region, Syria, Iraq, Egypt and Iran, and their control reached up to the Central Asia. So they conquered the area between the Nile river, which is in Egypt, to the Central Asia, and the river Oxus, which is a river of the Central Asia, and this is also known as the Transoxian region. So it was a huge region which was covered by one empire, that was the Central Islamic land. So how to control such a vast empire, that was a question. So they introduced some administrative changes. As a result, they were able to coordinate such a vast empire. So what administrative changes were brought by these people, that we are going to discuss under this topic. So the administrative changes which we are discussing here: in all the conquered provinces, the areas which were conquered by these people, the caliph imposed a new administrative structure, and which was headed by the governor. Governors were nominated in these areas, and a tribal chieftain was also nominated, who was also acting as a governor, and they used to run the administration of that area. Then a central treasury, which is also known by the name of Bait al-Mal, it was set up in Makkah, and it used to obtain its revenue from the taxes which were paid by the Muslims, as well as its share of the booty from the raids. They used to do expeditory raids, and as a result they used to bring rich booty, that was called Ghanima, and they used to fill their coffers in Bait al-Mal. The caliph's soldier, mostly Bedouins, who used to move from one place to another place, so now they left their life of moving from one place to another place, and they settled in the cities, and these cities were known as the camp cities, and they were generally set up at the edge of the desert, such as the Kufa and Basra, which are the important city of Iraq. And the ruling class of soldiers, they used to share the booty which used to be brought by them after a successful battle or expeditory raids, and monthly payments were also given to the ruling class as well as the soldiers. Consequently, with the passage of time, these ruling class and soldiers became very affluent. The non-Muslim population retained their right to property and religious practice on the payment of taxes, and that payment of taxes was done to the Muslim ruler, and that tax was like jizya, which was a religious tax which was imposed upon the non-Muslims. In this way, non-Muslims were also forced to convert to Islam, and that was the only way through which they can increase their numbers. So that was the administrative and the policy changes made by the caliphs after Prophet Muhammad. Next is the changes introduced by the Umayyads. After the fourth Caliph, after the death of Prophet Muhammad's deputy Caliph, that was Ali, that was the fourth Caliph. He was murdered by the Muawiyah, and in this way Muawiyah set up a dynasty that is called the Umayyad dynasty. So what was the Umayyad dynasty, and what the policy and administrative changes were brought by this dynasty, that we are going to discuss. The first Umayyad Caliph, that was Muawiyah, who became the ruler of Central Islamic land after the murder of Ali, who was the fourth Caliph, moved his capital from Medina to Damascus, and Damascus is now in Syria. So he shifted his capital from Medina to Damascus, and he titled himself as the Caliph, though he was not the legitimate Caliph, and he opposed the policy which was adopted by the Shia follower of Ali. He adopted the court ceremonies and administrative institution of the Byzantine Empire, because once Damascus and around surrounding areas used to be the part of Byzantine Empire, and there used to be a number of Christian people who used to live in that area also. So he adopted the ways of administration of the institution of Byzantine Empire. So he copied many things from the European administration. He also introduced hereditary succession. So far there was no hereditary succession, as we know that after the death of Prophet Muhammad, his son could not become the next Khalifa. Rather, it was chosen on the basis of merit and by the collective decision of the Ummah, which was the council of followers of Prophet Muhammad. But now he started a new way of succession, that was the hereditary succession. So in this way, it became a political power only, and persuaded the leading Muslims to accept his son as the next heir of the empire. Though he gave a lot of value to the Arabian people, though he shifted his capital from Mecca to Damascus, but still the Arabians were not happy with the Umayyad administration, and they believed that Umayyad is not following the rule which was set up by Prophet Muhammad, and it was not the true rule of Islam. The Umayyad state was now an imperial power. It tried to expand its empire, and it was expanded in many areas until the Spain it was expanded. So many parts of Europe were also becoming the part of the Umayyad dynasty by that time. No longer based on directly on Islam, the administration was not based on the Islam that was written in the Shariat rule, but on the statecraft and the loyalty of the Syrian troops. Mainly the troops were having the soldiers from the Syrian region. So if the troop is loyal, only then he could run the administration. So it was not an administration which was totally based on or purely based on the rule which was set up by Prophet Muhammad. Rather, he coined his own rules, and many of these rules were copied from the European administration, not from the Sharia. As a result, the Arabian people and the followers of Prophet Muhammad were not happy with the administration of the Umayyad dynasty, and they wanted to replace it, but they were weaker. As a result, it was not done. There were Christian advisors in the court of the Umayyad ruler, and they used to advise on certain policy matters to the Umayyad ruler, and which was not liked by the Arabian people. As well as Zoroastrian, which was bureaucrats, and the scribes were also the Zoroastrian, and the ruler used to be continuously guided by these people, and this was not liked by the Arabian people, who believed that Islam is the religion of their land and it should be following the rules which were laid down by Prophet Muhammad. So there should be no place to other people who were not of the Islamic religion.